It's Four Downs, brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Dynasty Pools and Spas, absolutely fantastic with all of their selection right there in the beautiful Athens area. It is Four Downs, and it's brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas.
Four Downs brought to you by Dynasty Spas, the most comfortable spas made in the United States of America, right here in East Tennessee. Drop in for the all-new showroom in Athens. Dynasty Spas, perfect for all four seasons. Four Downs, presented by Off the Hook Sports.
All right, so Cooper Mays is going to be the guy that's going to tell us how to go ahead and be a part of the program. As Coop, let's do that right now.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right.
Coop here. First down.
It is first down, Coop, and we're going to start with Dalton Knecht being the SEC Player of the Year. How huge is that for the Vols?
This is incredible. This is a giant deal for the Vols, and it's really just a giant deal for Dalton Knecht. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was second team All Big Sky last year. Guys, let me say that again. Second team All Big Sky. And he went from that to the SEC Player of the Year. And there's a legitimate argument that the SEC is maybe the second best conference in college basketball this year. So, I mean, that is a gigantic leap, guys. I mean, that's incredible. And I thought when Tennessee was getting him, they were just getting another piece of the puzzle. I didn't think they were getting this.
No, I don't think anybody did. Good morning to everybody that's on the message board. What down, Coop? And this is all going to lead to a theme. Some of you think that Caleb's been maybe overly critical at times, especially the Lady Vols when he broke the internet. But he wrote something that was very intriguing. This is leading to a theme. What down, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Zakai Zeigler, Defensive Player of the Year. May I go ahead and take a step back on this one? Because I wasn't a Zeigler fan at the beginning of the year. First team All SEC, SEC All Defense. You proved me wrong. I take a step back.
Yeah, Zakai Zeigler is... Dave, think about this for a minute. Zakai Zeigler is 5'9", 160 pounds. Who that size ever wins Defensive Player of the Year or is ever known for their defense when playing basketball?
Nobody.
What does that say about him? That he is a defensive weapon and he's so undersized. We're talking about more heart than, I mean, I'm just going to say it. People loved watching Allen Iverson play in 2000, 2001 because it seemed like he took it to 100 every play. I think Zakai takes it to 100. I think Zakai's the first player I've seen that actually takes it to 100 every single play, offense and defense.
Okay, I like that. We're not comparing Allen Iverson and Zakai Zeigler, but we're comparing the way they attack the court.
The way they attack the court, yes. Because the weird part about it is AI only did it offensively, and we gave him a break for being limited defensively because he was so undersized. So all he could really do was you remember, he would guard the passing lanes and he would gamble on the passing lanes. Now that worked when Dikembe Mutombo was underneath the basket. Zakai does more than just gamble in the passing lanes, quite honestly. I mean, Zakai does help defense. He understands angles. He forces guards to uncomfortable spots on the court. I've never seen a 5'9" guard do that defensively.
Okay. Again, leading to a theme that Caleb wrote about on offthehooksports.com. I'm setting him up like, I guess somebody would set up Nico Maleava in volleyball.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Third down it is, and we have yet another award, maybe? How about Mr. Aidoo making second team All-SEC and the SEC All-Defensive Team?
Yes, which, by the way, for people, because we didn't mention this, Knecht and Zeigler were both from first team All-SEC, and Zeigler was also SEC All-Defense. Jonas Aidoo, second team All-SEC, and SEC All-Defense. Jonas Aidoo, if he logged more minutes, and I think Barnes, I criticized his substitution, but he actually did a good job with Aidoo because he split him with Toby Awaka a lot. If you did a per 40-minute average, Jonas Aidoo would be averaging 20 and 12 this year.
Yep. And go ahead.
And yeah, and he's averaging 2 blocks a game. The guy's such a reliable defensive presence. And again, the whole offense still depends. I say it all the time. They go as Aidoo goes. I'm not saying he's their best player, but they go as he goes.
Oh, Travis stole it. I bid you Aidoo.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
I told you it was leading to a theme. So those of you that don't like Rick Barnes and knock him for being regular season Rick, and those of you that don't appreciate what he's done with 800 wins and a long distinguished career, and those of you that think that Caleb Calhoun can be too critical at times for breaking the internet, calling for Kelly Harper's job. Is Rick Barnes the best developer of talent in the history of blank? And you fill in the blank, Caleb, because you wrote about it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but you bring up a great point. Give it to me.
In the history of college basketball coaching.
Oh, my goodness. That's strong.
It is Rick Barnes and Dean Smith are the two best. I give Dean Smith credit. I think it's fair to say, even though Michael Jordan always said Dean Smith held him back, you would agree that the shuffle offense and the way Dean Smith coached had players ready to go to the NBA more than most coaches, right? Really prepared them.
Agreed.
And people will say John Wooden. No, John Wooden just recruited elite talent. John Wooden did no coaching whatsoever, okay? You give me Kareem. Sorry?
Illegally, he paid them, too.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, like you give me Kareem in the 60s, I'm going undefeated. You give me Bill Walton in the 70s, I'm going undefeated. Okay, John Wooden just had that elite talent out in Cali fall into his lap. Okay, Rick Barnes takes these 3 stars and he turns them into NBA role players, which is much more difficult coaching than coaching generational Hall of Fame talent. Would you agree, Dave? Like with basketball more than other sports, you're not really coached up into a Hall of Fame talent. You just either are or you aren't, right?
Yeah, I agree with that for the most part.
Yeah. So the real coaching and the real work ethic, well, they all have work ethic. I'm not going to knock that. But the real impressive value you see with NBA players are those role players that last 10, 11, 12 years and may ride the bench. And by the way, they walk away with $100 million in their pocket of generational wealth when they're done.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just be honest. Rick Barnes has turned more players into that weren't qualified to be that than anything. Now, caveat for that, he's not a developer of one and done talent. When I say he's a developer of talent, you got to play with him for a couple of years and get some experience. Now, people will come at me because I'll say Dalton Knecht has only been with Tennessee for 1 year, but Dalton Knecht is a 5th-year senior. So he already kind of gets it. So there was a little less, he was ready to be developed on his weaknesses when he went to play for Rick Barnes. But look at what he's done with Zakai Zeigler. Zakai Zeigler was a 3-star who was 5'9" and is SEC Defensive Player of the Year. That's about Rick Barnes. Dalton Knecht, 2nd team All Big Sky, turns into SEC Player of the Year. That's Rick Barnes. Jonas Aidoo is developing right before our eyes. Grant Williams is in the NBA right now and a journeyman. And by the way, journeyman's not a bad word. If you're a journeyman in the NBA, you walk away with a lot of money. And he's in the NBA as a journeyman because of Rick Barnes.
Who was the guard at Duke who made like $180 million that we just talked about? That
JJ Redick?
Yeah, JJ Redick. Let's bring in our special guest here every Tuesday. A little bit of technical difficulties, but we've moved through that. John Adams joins us now. John, how are you, sir? You look fantastic. Let's bring that back down a little bit. You were better the first time. How are you, John?
I'm not great. Go ahead.
Rick Barnes, the best developer of talent in college basketball history. What do you make of that statement by Caleb Calhoun?
That's pretty extreme, Caleb.
John, hear me out. I'm not talking X's and O's specifically. Like, I don't think he's actually that great of an X's and O's coach. But in terms of turning players that played for him for 2 to 3 years into NBA talent or just making them better players, Grant Williams should not be an NBA player. He's only an NBA player because of how Rick Barnes coached him. He does not have the profile to be an NBA player. He's too short and he's too slow. But Barnes taught him how to use his leverage and things like that.
He doesn't jump that well either. No, I believe Rick Barnes is a great developer of talent. That's one of the reasons Dalton Knecht came to Tennessee. It's a really good selling point. But I don't know about all the guys who played for him at Texas I don't really know his history with players. I know what he's done at Tennessee. I agree with you on Grant Williams. A lot of it has to do with Grant Williams's work ethic, determination to make himself better. But I also think what Rick did, you can't ignore that. He can develop talent. There's no doubt about that.
John, I would go to Tobacco Road and Caleb, before you jumped on, mentioned Dean Smith. I would also mention Mike Krzyzewski, because it's on air and I don't have to spell it, as one of the best developers of talent. John, who do you view as, in college basketball history, the best developers of talent?
Let's see. I'd probably go, Dale Brown was one. I'm kidding.
He had Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and Shaquille O'Neal, and what, made the Sweet 16? Did he even make the
second? Yeah, he made this. He never got past the Sweet 16.
Well, it's not about how much you succeed as a winner on the court, though, because that requires some X's and O's. It's how, like, what did you do to turn the players into great, better players? Is that fair to say?
He did nothing in that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Dale Brown did much of anything. But as far as best developers in Tennessee sports history, what it would be basically him and Philip Fulmer, right, John? Now, by the way, I want to remind you that 4 Downs is brought to you by our friends at Dynasty Pools and Spas. Certainly check them out. Bobby Knight is a fantastic answer as well. Dynasty Pools and Spas brings you 4 Downs. And then we're going to have a little conversation here because we've got 3 people at different stages in their career. And Caleb called for somebody's job. And I don't think that John's too keen on that. 60 seconds. Stay tuned. John's making a face. That means good broadcasting up next. Having the best spas made right here in the United States of America in your backyard. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Their showroom is open in Athens, right off the interstate. You can stop by and check out the best hot tubs and spas in the market. And then delivery, yes, they can do that to Knoxville or Chattanooga. They've got complete support, spa cover, and chemicals to keep your spa bubbling at its best. They also have pool chemicals as well. Dynasty Pools and Spas, amazing discounts for first responders, military, and even some blemish models that can save you a ton, and no one will ever notice. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Go to dynastypoolsandspas.com or stop by that showroom in Athens. dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. All right, John. So Caleb Calhoun called for Kelly Harper's job. What are your thoughts?
Wow. I mean, do you really think that's your place to say somebody should be fired, Caleb?
John's never done that.
I'll tell you what,
times.
John.
John's never done that 18 times, has he?
I tried to.
John, I will tell you what, I know my place better than those Lady Vol defenders knew their place on that last 3-point shot the other day. It's not the worst defensive alignment in the history of women's basketball or men's.
Well, it wasn't a defensive alignment. I mean, maybe it was a volleyball defensive alignment. I don't know what that was, but when I was in the press room, I was at the Tennessee-Kentucky game. And so I'm in the press room. We're waiting for the coaches to come in. And the screen, there are a lot of people in there. The screen is way far across the room. And I see South Carolina inbounding the ball. And I thought there were like 5 or 6 seconds left. So I didn't think that much of it. And then I saw the shot. And then I was told it was 1.1 seconds. I mean, how could you not have somebody guard a ball? Is it like they forgot? And then I watched the replay, and you got three people lined up around the goal, like there was no time for anybody to drive to the basket. And then, honestly, if they'd have got the ball to Cardosa, she could have probably gone to the foul line and gotten an open pass. It was really bizarre.
Not to mention, before that, because this is like we do our football IQ and this is basketball IQ because we just have to call it out because, John, I don't know if you saw, but before Kelly Harper, because they had 2 fouls to give, she instructed Jewel Spear to give a foul at midcourt. Now, I get giving a foul when they're like inside the paint or kind of on your side, but you don't give the foul at midcourt with a second left because then you give South Carolina a chance to inbound the ball and set up an offense when they have no timeouts left. Like,
Yeah, so I didn't see that. So what you're saying is they're coming past the if you don't do anything, what are they going to do? Just get a desperation shot?
yeah, exactly. They're just going to they don't have any timeouts. They're just going to get
Yeah.
a desperation shot. You don't give a foul in that moment. You give a foul if it's actually when you give the foul is when they inbounded the ball and there's 1 second left, and then you give the foul with like half a second left and make them do it again. You don't do it with 1 second left at midcourt and no timeouts.
Did you see an explanation for that?
No.
She
Caleb just thought.
effectively-
No, Caleb just called for a job. That's pretty much.
She effectively threw her players under the bus without throwing them under the bus. She effectively kind of said that like they were confused on different alignments they were supposed to have. No one asked about the fouls at midcourt because they were so caught up in the terrible defensive alignment at the end. But to me, the fouls were actually dumber.
Well, yeah, it was like there was a whole myriad of things, baffling decisions going on there.
Yes, there's certainly.
But I was Dave and I were talking about this, and I was appalled that you would call for a coach to be fired. And I was thinking back, I don't think in my career I've done that more than a dozen times.
Yes, and you never had coaches take out op-eds in response to you, right, John?
Only one of those. I've called for my editors to be fired.
Oh, wait a second. Well, I forgot about the op-ed thing. Did Philip Fulmer write an op-ed piece?
Yes.
Well, it had his byline on it, but I won't name who I thought wrote it.
Oh, go ahead.
No. That's
Was it
history,
Bud
man.
Ford or it could have been?
But
Bud
you know
Ford.
what? He didn't do an op-ed piece when I thought he should be fired as AD. He's the only person I thought should be fired twice.
That's fair. Okay.